Hey there, Fai Cheng here with a quick introduction to the basic principle, the fundamental idea behind Know Yuck marketing and how it differs from traditional marketing. So what you're seeing here on the screen is a pyramid. Consider it like an iceberg, and above the water we have something like 3 to 5%. Now this is an established idea in marketing that when you have a considered buying decision, something where you need to do your due diligence, you do your market research, your comparison, etc., you have somewhere between 3 and 5% of 3 and 10% of people who are ready to take action right now. And much of today's marketing is focused at this particular target audience. Namely, we first get their attention with tools like power words and emotional hot buttons and fears and frustrations, creating avatars, the whole copywriting thing. And once we've got their attention, we drive them to take action with things like scarcity and urgency and bonuses. And make no mistake, this stuff works. It's been established for a long, long time. These are hardwired responses. There's a lot of psychological research behind it. They work. The problem is, when you now go and apply these same principles to the remaining 97%, you've got a problem, because over there they create a scenario where you have a lot of internal conflict, a disconnect, you've got sales resistance, and of course you experience this yourself, you don't want to be salesy. And it happens because those same principles applied to this other audience just doesn't work, and I'll show you now why that is. So, of course, I'm not going to suggest that you have, 97% of the market as a target audience. In reality, there's always a certain percentage of people who are just not a good fit for what you've got. But even if that is 30 to 40%, you still have a very, very significant chunk of people who are potentially fantastic clients for you. But they're not quite ready yet because they have something we call unanswered questions. Now, there's a whole set of categories of questions people ask themselves, and down below the video I'll go into more detail. It's things like, I need to get X into place, whatever, you need to get something into place, or I need to be sure of that. And this has more to do with psychological questions, or how people are hardwired, in the sense of, are they more security oriented, are they more freedom oriented, are they more legacy oriented? Then you have things like, it's kind of a pink elephant in the room. People need to make sure it's not only going to work for them, but they're going to look good doing the thing. So coaches and consultants know this. The first time they start providing their product or service, it's like the question at the back of your mind is my stuff good enough? If you now go and try to persuade someone to ignore this and just go and fake it until you make it, that creates a lot of internal disconnect. And so on and on and on. There are a lot of questions around this. And the fundamental idea of Know Yuck marketing is then to get people, or give people, an opportunity to ask themselves, or to answer for themselves, their questions and find your responses to those questions. And then if the answer is yes, they can move to the next stage. So the idea is that you go sign up kind of from bottom to top. At the very top, the 3% ready party in the pyramid is where you have a macro decision. You have a yes or no. People say, yes, this is for me, or no, it's not. And in order to get to that macro decision, there's a whole string of questions, and they're basically micro questions. And every time you get a micro yes, someone can move forward to the next question and ask themselves, is this for me? Am I sure this is the right thing? Do I know this actually works for me? Do I have enough clarity? Etc., etc., etc. Please understand, the idea of Know Yuck marketing is not to use NLP tricks and reciprocity plays and all kinds of persuasion tricks to get people on this greasy yes slide. That's a term that's used in copywriting. Get people on a grease slide so they keep saying yes, yes, yes. Commitment and consistency. That's not what it is. This is a framework where you, as the provider of the product and service you have, steps back and looks at what kind of questions do my prospective clients have, and what needs to be in place for them to be able to say yes, as opposed to you persuading them to say yes. And that's the core concept, because ultimately, really what we want to avoid is to persuade people to take advantage of our offer, because you know this from practice. When you get something where you weren't quite ready, you weren't quite sure, and you just went, oh God, the scarcity is so hard, I'm going to go and get it. you are unlikely to have everything in place that needs to be in place. As a result, you don't take action. As a result, you don't get results. And when you don't get results, well, you're not a great repeat customer, you're not providing testimonials, you're not providing referrals, and so on and on and on. And that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. So that's in a nutshell, really everything, or the core idea of Know Yuck marketing. We look at in a very strategic way at the unanswered questions people have, and then provide a framework or provide those answers. And if they decide for themselves, yes, I like that answer, they can move forward to the next question. And ultimately, those who are a great fit will get to the the ultimate yes or no at the very, very top, which is the macro yes. And that is the fundamental idea, how you do pre-selling in a not a coercive way, in a non-exploitative way, but in a truly helpful, providing value all along the way. There are all kinds of true, measurable economic benefits to doing this, as opposed to trying to use the same principles like scarcity and urgency on the this large chunk in the middle. But all of that is explained down below. Start with the questions, the categories of questions. What kind of questions do people ask themselves? Then the fundamental idea behind it, namely the concept of value. And if you have any questions, do reach out to me. So there you go. This is the quick summary of Know Yuck marketing. Any questions, just let me know. Cheers.